What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am going to bring you P.U.N.K Therions. So massive shout out to Yugioh. So I saw his video which kind of went through a couple of combos and I was like, whoa, this is insane. And basically the thing that Therions are missing is their starter kind of package. Now what I mean by that is they're all high level monsters. They all require to have either Therions or of course they require you to have machines, plants, other attributes or types in the graveyard. So I was going to do pure, I saw Grimm's video and I was like, whoa, P.U.N.K's actually worked really, really well in this. And I knew a couple of 1-card, 2-card combos that the P.U.N.Ks had already. And basically being able to calamity your opponent during their turn just seemed too good to pass up. So I thought I'd put a list together using the inspiration from Grimm. I'll also show you the basic combos at the end of the video, and I'll show you a combo that also involves the Scythe Lock, should you want to go down that route, just in order for you to kind of combat high-level meta decks going first. Whether you're going to side it or main it is entirely up to you, but it does give you that ability to well, additionally lock your opponent out. Not only do you Scythe Lock them, but you can also calamity them as well. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So we start off with the Therions. Sadly, if you wanted to play pure Therions or a version of Therions, Regulus is crazy high right now. I believe Tier 0 had them on pre-sale at £28. I was like, yeah, nah, they'll go down in price, and now they've rocketed to £50. My opinion on this is for the pure fact that I feel that it is the best card in a mediocre set. And what I mean by that is when you look at all the secrets, I don't think any of them are that stand out as generic playable cards, apart from Regulus, because it meets multiple decks. Stuff like Cyber Dragons, any machine deck, it can really, really help. We've then got 2 Lily. Now, the reason we've got 2 Lily is because it doesn't actually matter if you open this card up. So all of these have the same effects, that you target either a Therion monster or, in King Regulus's case, a machine. In Lily Boa's effect, it's a plant in the graveyard to special summon these. Regulus gets the effect that you either send a Therion monster or you send a Therion monster when your opponent activates a card or effect from the field or hand to the graveyard to negate that activation. Lily has the effect to send 1 card from your hand or field to the graveyard to add a Therion spell or trap. So that can obviously give you the rotor because that gives you into the field spell. That then activates the field spell to get you your king. King can then target the boa and then add that back to it. The best thing about that is they also have the same clause that a Therion monster equipped with this card gains 700 attack. Also, it can activate the effect above as if it was listed on it itself. So Regulus would then get the effect of Lily as well. So that's really kind of cool. I've then got 2 Reaper. Now, I'll go through all of them. So we've got 2 Reaper and we've got 1 Duke. So I'm not playing the Bull. The reason I'm not playing the Bull is if it was a quick effect, it would probably work out a little bit better. The reason I got the Duke is it is kind of defensive, and because we're playing the P.U.N.Ks, the main cards you're going to be going through are Psychics. So this actually has an effect to summon itself on the board. It becomes either a level 8 for your level 11 or 10 Synchro plays, or it can become a rank 8 fodder. So the Reaper has this effect that during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target a Therion card in your spell and trap card zone and 1 card your opponent controls and return them to the hand. So basically, once one of these is equipped with something, you can bounce that equipped and go from there. They don't need to be equipped, like the equip effect gives them additionals. So the equip effect when they're attached to a Therion gives them the effect of basically the second one. So what I mean by that is if Reaper was connected to Lily, Lily would gain the effect of Reaper to bounce. So they also gain 700 attack as well. So when you look at this, this becomes a 35. This becomes a 31. This will become pretty weak, but it's still pretty good as a 21. And this will become a 28. This one is target an Aqua or Therion in the graveyard. This one is target a Psychic or a Therion in the graveyard. Duke has the effect is while you control an equipped Therion monster, you control cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. So that kind of protects your back row. It's not the greatest, but it does kind of give you a little bit of protection. Then, of course, we've got free Therion Disclosure, or Discoliseum, sorry. Don't know where I got Disclosure from. But this one is when you activate, or when it is activated, you get to add a Therion monster from your deck to the hand. And then once per turn, if your monster would be destroyed by battle, you get to send a Therion card or 1 Endless Engine Argo system from your deck to the graveyard instead. Once per turn, when a monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you get to target a Therion monster in the graveyard and add it back to the hand. So you're able to regain your resource. I mentioned this in my Therion ABC, or if my ABC profile comes out after this, I'll mention it again. But what I would have really liked for this card to be, would have been when this card is activated, you get to add a Therion monster, and then send a monster from your deck to the graveyard with the same type. That would then instantly set up the plays that you need, whereas you have to go the long route of going through Lily in order to get to King Regulus. Then, of course, we've got 2 Endless Engine Argos. So this one is send a Therion card from your deck to the graveyard. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 Therion card in the graveyard. If both are still in your graveyard, add either that card or this card back to the hand. And if you do, place the other card on the bottom of the deck. You can only use 1 Endless Engine effect per turn, and only once that turn. So basically, you can either activate the Foolish Burial, or you can activate the Revival. So it gives you the best of both. It's a shame you can't use both effects in one turn, because then that would just give you a lot quicker and easier search for the Therion Cross. But this is basically your Foolish Burial. So this is what I would have preferred its effect to be merged with this, which might have been too much in one card. But, you know, we have seen more broken field spells in the game. 1 Terraforming, because the field spell is important. And the 1 Therion Cross. Now, the only way you get this turn 1 is if you've already opened up a route to get to your Regulus. And then you can use your Lily to search this out rather than the field spell. What I really like about this is when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a Therion monster, you get to activate one of these effects. Negate that effect, banish that monster. If you have Endless Engine Argo system in the graveyard, at activation, you can activate both of the effects. At resolution, negate, then banish. You can only activate 1 cross per turn. So I kind of like the idea of being able to negate and banish. But the issue is, you would have needed to get this to the graveyard. So you would have activated this. This would have then Foolish Burialed a Therion card, which is great. You would then need to, for example, activate Lily to summon itself out, targeting the Therion card you put in the graveyard, equipping it to it. You could then use Lily's effect to send a Therion card or send a card from the hand to the graveyard to then add the cross rather than the field spell, and then you'd set the cross. So it still technically all comes from like 1 or 2 cards to get to the cross, but they'll know you've already got it. The only other card that really synergizes with the Therions on its own is Lone Fire Blossom, purely because this then counts as additional Lily copies. You can only use each effect of Lily once per turn. So you can only special summon it once per turn, and you can only send a Therion from the field, send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard to add a Therion spell trap. So basically the reason that we've got this is you can go normal summon Lone Fire. Lone Fire gets you straight into a Lily. And then if you've already opened up a Lily, you can still use this effect to target the Lone Fire, bring it back, and equip it with the Lily. So straight away you've got a rank 8 if you've already opened up a Lily, which is why we play 2. And that's pretty much it for like the Therion directly involved cards. Now these obviously you're pretty much going to King Regulus on its own on this one. And then when you get into the Punks, this is what gives you your normal summon engine, but it also gives you ways of putting cards into the graveyard as well to make sure all of your Therions are live. So you've got triple new P.U.N.K Foxy Tune. This is the most expensive one, annoyingly. But once per turn, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can gain life points equal to attack, blah, blah, blah. Like, most of the top effect is irrelevant. It's more so the second effect. So you send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, and 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. And if you do, you get to special summon a Punk monster from the deck, except a level 8 monster. So that will give you access to the brand new Dear Note, and it also gives you your access to your Z Armins, because ideally Z Armin is going to get you into your Madam Spider. I'll talk about Ogre in a second, but let's go back to your Dear Note, which is the brand new card, and this card's really, really good. So you can reveal one other Punk monster in your hand to special summon either the revealed monster or this card, and send the other to the graveyard. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, insane, you can just target 1 Punk monster in your graveyard, except a level 5 monster, and special summon it. But you can't special summon Dear Note for the rest of this turn. Only use each effect once per turn. So this is mad, because basically what it means is if you discard your Foxy Tune or your Ogre Dance, because remember, Ogre Dance searches Foxy specials from the deck, you can then, as soon as you link off with this, you can bring any of them back. So you get back a free level 8, which can give you access to a level 10 Synchro, or you can bring back one of your level 3s, which can then help you get into your Crystron Halley Firebrax, which you'll see towards the end. Obviously, to help kind of synergize with these, we are playing Triple E-Telly, and then I am playing the 1 Dangerous Garbu. I just like this, the fact that basically what you should be doing, or what you could be doing, is your Z Armin, if you haven't conducted your normal summon, so if the Z Armin comes off of your E-Telly, you can use this effect to pay 600 life points to add a Punk from the deck to the hand. So that can give you the Madam Spider. You can normal summon the Spider, pay 600 to give you your Garbu, and then that goes into your Halifibrax. And you set yourself up pretty much an Imperm. Because the only additional bonus this gets is if you control a Punk monster, when you use this effect to target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects, you gain life points equal to that target monster's original attack. So you don't have to control a Punk in order to activate and resolve this. You just get an additional bonus if you do. So it's still like a free searchable Imperm. Then for like the hand traps and the one-offs, so we got the one, Play Spreader Zombie. This is to come off your Halifibrax. If you did want to go for the Scythe route, you tag it out for your Jet Synchron. But we'll get to that at the end. 2 Ghost Bell, 2 Ash, and 2 Crow, alongside 2 Talents. So you could play cross out if you want. I've kind of gone with I've got the space, so this is my lineup of hand traps. If you wanted to, you can make any of these free ofs, but I kind of want to make sure that I've got the best ability to play through hand traps, especially when you've got E-Telly as a free extender, especially when you can dig into Therions. Should your opponent stop any of your plays, you still have the ability to dig a little bit further. If you aren't playing the Punk engine, you can play Extrav. Even with the Punk engine, you can play Prosperity as well. It's entirely up to you of what you have access to. So it's either Talents, Extrav, Prosperity. The Extrav one, you'd probably max out on what you could. But considering we're only allowed 1 Halifibrax now, it can be very, very risky. So that's it for the main deck. It is a 42 card deck. So again, you can cut little bits as and when you see fit and go from there. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll start off the links because they are the least relevant in my sense. So you've got the 1 Halifibrax, the 1 Unicorn, and the 1 Access Code. Like, they pretty much speak for themselves. The XYZs is where I love rank 8 decks. They're just so fun to play around with. So you've got your Hope Harbinger, which can either be summoned, hard summoned, or it can be summoned off a Dragula Bond defensively with your number 100 for OTK. So this is just your one play, let's push the game and win it there. We've then got the 1 Ding for additional protection, plus the non-target send can be really, really important. And then we've got the Vampire, Zombie Vampire. The reason this is good is this one gives you the ability to mill the top 4 cards from both players' decks to the graveyard, and if any monster was sent there, by this effect you get to special summon them to the field. So it basically gives you that ability to extend during your turn, but it can also let you drag out of your opponent's graveyard as well. It can be a bit risky. Every time you mill your opponent's graveyard, it can be risky. Because there are times when they want stuff in the graveyard and you're actually helping them out. So it's just basically a tech card or like a mess around card that you shouldn't, like, it's entirely up to you if you want to keep or cut. If you did want to cut it, the 2 cards or the 3 cards you would then need to put in for the Scythe play would be Dagda, Wonder Magician, and Link Rebo. But I'll explain that later on. For the Synchros, we've got the Jet Synchron, and then my favourite level 8 Synchros of Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. This is just the ability to win in time. So should you be in a slow game, should you get to game 3, Scarlet can actually just win you games outright, which is crazy good. The 1 Chaos Dragon, this is the one you're going to go into more times than not, because he will set you up the ability not only to excavate Therions into the graveyard, whether you add a card or not, it doesn't really matter, but then it will also give you that ability to bring it back, and that will then give you the ability to get into King Calamity, and it also gets you into stuff like your Halifibrax as well. Keeping in mind that you've got to keep an open eye for your lights and darks, so that's kind of what you need to make sure you're getting in the graveyard. Most of the Foxy Tune is the light, and then of course you've got your Ogre, which is the dark, but then you also have some of the other cards as well. Moving on to the Synchros, of course, we do play the 1 Baron de Fleur, and then we've got 2 level 11s, so this is your Psychic Aim Punisher and your Punk Amazing Dragon. The reason we've got these is, in theory, you could actually make these during your opponent's turn, but you can also make them during your turn, because you can just go E-Telly on top of either of your level 8s, and like I said, you've already made this, so you make this plus an E-Telly gets you either of these 2 cards. This will give you a bounce equal to the number of level 3 Psychic monsters with different names in your graveyard or you control. By the time you make this, you're either going to have 1 or 2, so that's a nice little bounce. Other than that, you've got your brand new Psychic Game Punisher, which can be spot removal, as well as just a giant beat stick if your opponent's life points are different to yours. And then the final one is the Mac Daddy Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. You've got to be very careful with this, because this is specifically a when this card is special summoned. You get to activate the effect for the rest of the turn. Your opponent cannot activate cards. Also, cards your opponent controls cannot activate their effects. So it's basically a full-on board shutdown off of Calamity. Keeping in mind as well that it is when it is synchro summoned. So you've got to make sure it doesn't miss timing, because if it does, that's pretty much going to defeat the whole object of playing your Calamity. But the way this works is you would go Halley Firebrax, tag out. Your board will end up being a Play Spreader Zombie plus your Chaos Dragon. You tag out Halley Firebrax for a formula, you draw a card, you then use Formula Synchron's effect. That will then let you synchro, and then as long as it is the last thing to resolve, and what we mean by that is as long as it is Chainlink 1, because you go Chainlink 3, resolve, Chainlink 2, resolve, Chainlink 1, resolve, synchro summon, and that is when Calamity hits the board. If you use this as Chainlink higher than Chainlink 1, you'll basically, the way it will resolve is you'll go, okay, cool, so let's say Formula Sync 1 was Chainlink 2, and your opponent went Imperm Chainlink 1, right? You'd go, okay, cool, Chainlink 2, Formula Synchro into King Calamity. Your opponent's Imperm would then attempt to resolve, but because it's not got a target on the board anymore, it would fail, and then you would go back into an open game state. And because the last thing to happen was not the Synchro Summon of King Calamity, it won't clear the board out. So you've got to make sure that your Formula Synchron is the first thing that happens. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for the profile. So I'm going to take you through the combos that you've got within this deck. There are 3 combos that I'm going to try and show you. One is pretty much going to be a direct Punk one. One is going to be a direct Therion one. And then one will be, if you put in the Scythe lock, or if you want to go for the Scythe lock because it is a little bit more consistent than the Calamity lock, this is what you can do. So we're going to start off with the Therion 1-card combo, and then I'll show you the Punk 1-card combo, and then I'll show you the one that involves both. So you normal summon your Lone Fire, you use Lone Fire's effect to tag that out, and you're going to go into your Lily. Lily will then use its effect to send itself from the field to the graveyard to add you your Disc Colosseum. You'd activate this Colosseum to search you out your Regulus. Your Regulus will then use its effect to target the Lily, summon itself down, and that is your free Omni-Negate. So wham bam, thank you ma'am, nice and easy. Then moving on to the Punk combo, the 1 card you need is E-Telly. So you're going to activate your E-Telly, you're going to special summon out your Z Armin. Your Z Armin is going to pay 600 life points to search you out your Madam Spider. You're going to normal summon the Madam Spider, pay 600 life points to get you your Dangerous Gabu. You'll then be able to link these 2 together and get yourself into a basic Crystron Halley Firebrax. You'll then use Crystron Halley Firebrax's effect to special from the deck your Jet Synchron. So this is where it's different, and this is where you need to put these cards in should you want to go down this route. It is entirely up to you, but it does kind of give you a little bit to play around with. You would then, of course, turn your Jet Synchron. You will need a discard on this one, so it's technically a 2 card. Turn your Jet Synchron into a Link Karibo. I currently don't have one in front of me, but you can kind of see the point. Link Karibo, you then use the effect of Jet Synchron to discard the card from your hand to summon itself back, and then you'd link these 2 together and go into Dagda. Now, it's not as safe as it could be, because ideally what you'd want to do is you'd want to be able to activate a monster effect. So that's where Therions come in, because Jet Synchron gives you that ability to be able to loop itself back. Let me just double check. Yeah, so Jet Synchron was going to get banished, annoyingly. But then if you've got a Psychic, or you've got any route to a Therion in the graveyard, you can summon that, and because that would then trigger the activate the effect to use the Dagda. Otherwise, what you're going to do is during your opponent's turn, is you're going to use the effect of Crystron Halley Firebrax and chain Dagda. Dagda is 2, will set you the Scythe, and then you'll resolve the Crystron Halley Firebrax to summon out the Wonder Magician. Wonder Magician will then use this effect to pop the Scythe. The Scythe will then come back. Scythe will then choose to trigger its effect. If your opponent tries to do anything, use TG's effect to sync. Put these 2 together, and this will then give you a Ballon de Fleur. So you've locked your opponent out of the extra deck. You've got a negate here, all from 2 cards. You've still got 3 more cards to play around with. Keeping in mind as well, if you could add a Therion to the board, like add a Regulus or anything like that. You've then locked your opponent out of the extra deck. You've got an Omni negate here. You've got a target negate here. It's rare that your opponent is going to be able to break that board. Okay, so the Punk combo that gets you into Calamity during your opponent's turn pretty much is E-Telly and Ogre Dance. You can change this around, and what we mean by that is if you've got the ability to normal summon, so that's where Ogre Dance can be discarded to give you into your Z Armin. Also, if you wanted to add the Therion King to this, you add Lone Fire to this hand, but you will need to get E-Telly in the hand in order to do this. So that's kind of the balance you need to be looking for, but you'll see that as we do this combo. So you activate your E-Telly, you're going to special summon out your Z Armin. You're going to pay 600 life points for Z Armin in order to search yourself out there she is, Foxy Tune. You're then going to use Foxy Tune's effects in herself and the Ogre Dance to special summon from the deck your Deer Note. Q1, Deer Note will then summon back. Now, the reason that you went with the Foxy Tune is if you open up either of these, you then get the other counterpart, means that you guarantee you've got a Light in the Dark in the graveyard for your Chaos Ruler. So you put these two out on the board. It's a 5 and a 3. So you're going to synchro into these into your Chaos Dragon. Keeping in mind as well, you'll also be able to trigger the effect off of the No Punk, your Deer Note. So Deer Note in this one, you actually want to bring back a tuner, which will be your Z Armin. Now, it doesn't matter what 5 we mill, so I'm just going to mill the top 5. If we get to add anything, great. We just add the card to the hand. It really doesn't matter. It's more about putting cards in the graveyard for your Therion, so you're also set to go from there. You're then going to put these two together, and you're going to go into your Crystron Halifibrax. You're then going to use Crystron Halifibrax's effect to special summon out the, wherever he is, Plague Spreader Zombie. Now, if you milled the Plague Spreader Zombie, you can still summon out a different tuner because you'll still have the Plague Spreader in the graveyard. So that would be where it gets a little bit more specific because you'd have to put the card back to the top of the deck. So it's not the end of the world if you do mill this. You just want to make sure you don't add it. And then what you're going to go from here is you're going to banish the light and the dark. Now, keeping in mind, we'll just go for the original ones that we guaranteed were engraved. So the Foxy Tune and the Ogre Dance. You're going to banish those and you're going to go into your, bring back your Chaos Dragon. You're then going to pass your opponent's turn and then you're going to tag out the Crystron Halifibrax. That is, of course, going to go into your Formula Synchron. You'll then draw off of the Formula Synchron so you kind of get to repair your hand. And then you'll get the ability as well, making sure, like I said in the previous combo, that this is Chain Link 1. It has to be the last thing to resolve. So you use the effect of this to sync 2 level 2 tuners with a level 8, making a level 12. Gets you into your King Calamity. King Calamity then will trigger its effect to pretty much shut your opponent's board down. So like I said, in that entire hand, we didn't even need to conduct our normal summon because we were able to pretty much special summon everything. So if you were to add, for example, a a Lone Fire Blossom to that, you're then going to get the ability to basically add to your end board this. So you would add to your end board, add in the Lone Fire. So imagine we did this during our turn. You tribute this off. You do the first combo that I showed you for the Therions. So that would give you into Lily. Lily would send itself to give you into the field spell. And the best thing about the field spell is it would give you battle protection as well. You would then use the field spell to add your Regulus, and then Regulus would then add the Lily. So you've then got the ability that should you want to, during your turn, if you don't Omni-negate anything, during your turn you can also send the Regulus, which will search you out another field spell, which will then give you another search. So it's all about deck thinning and playing through that. Not to mention you've got 2 cards as well in hand, not to mention the remainder of your opening hand being 2 more. So you should be good to rock and roll from there. Anyway, I hope these combos have helped you. I hope they've given you an idea or a breakdown of this deck and what it can do. I'm really excited to kind of see where this can go. I still feel that the Therions need a bit of support. They are missing their normal summon, but then I feel that maybe the deck itself is designed to be played with other engines. Like, I don't want it to be, okay, Lily goes in a plant deck and Regulus goes into a machine deck. I would really like the idea of being able to do exactly what we've got here. We've gone, right, okay, I've got Therions and then I'm adding Punks. Or I've got Therions and I'm adding in Cyber Dragons. Just to kind of make it a little bit more balanced between the two. But regardless, I'm really enjoying the idea of it. I'm really enjoying the deck in general. And I've kind of been looking for a reason to be using Punks a little bit more as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.